Hello, hello Ravan, hello everyone. Can you hear me well, or is it dead?
First, good afternoon. Can you hear me well? Super. But I can't hear you now.
I'm muted. um, so today is our second day of transmission. For those who didn't saw the last one we did yesterday, our lives will be here are already available on YouTube. You can see them, and I believe in Facebook as well. Um, and you can also see our schedule on Instagram for the following live. Today we'll be talking about attacks on Azerbaijani multiculturalism with Reverend. Please introduce yourself so we can begin.
Yeah, I prepared some a little speech for you, and I would like in this speech I will try to introduce the policy of multiculturalism in Azerbaijan. Also, some other more information I would like to give you about the patriotic war that already we celebrated our victory last day. Um, if you let me, I can start.
You can start.
The moderator. First, I would like to thank you for organizing this live. I hope that many participants will ask me the question later at the end. I will try to inform you about the significance attached to the policy of multiculturalism in Azerbaijan, ethnocultural diversity in the region, and of course, the first year period following the 44-day patriotic war of Azerbaijan. I didn't choose the title of my speech by chance because the title of my speech is Threat of Azerbaijani Multiculturalism. Why I chose this name? Because the scene that I was during my first visit of liberated Karabakh and eastern Zengezur, which had been under occupation for almost 30 years, horrified me as a person. I will tell you more about it later, but in this speech, I will try to throw some light to irreversible impact of occupation and war on cultural heritage. First of all, I would like to note that Azerbaijan is one of the countries in the world that places the biggest importance to the policy of multiculturalism. This policy is one of the leading direction of our state policy. Azerbaijan has a long history of cultural and religious diversity, and today more than 30 different ethnic minorities with different culture, languages, and faiths live here in a peace and mutual understanding. However, the coexistence of cultural diversity does not mean that the state is pursuing an official policy of multiculturalism. But after Azerbaijan gained the independence in 1991, Azerbaijan national leader Haydar Aliyev defined a model of managing this diversity. Today, Azerbaijan is known in the world as a country of promotes multiculturalism, intercultural and interreligious dialogue, and creates also a global platform in this area. Because the policy of multiculturalism is in fact the most important contribution to domestic, regional, and global peace. At the same time, it serves as an ideological barrier against religious radicalism and extremism. During the year of independence, the protection of the rights of minorities and all faiths existing in Azerbaijan was specifically reflected in all legislative acts and including the Constitution of the Republic of Azerbaijan. So far, Azerbaijan has ratified more than 50 international documents regarding ethnic minorities. These demonstrate how much significance the country places on multiculturalism policy. And the Baku International Multiculturalism Center, which I lead, was also established in 2014 by the decree of the President of Azerbaijan Republic, Mr. Ilham Aliyev, and its main purpose to promote the ideas of multiculturalism in the world. The center is implementing important projects in worldwide geography, but if anyone want to cooperate with us and get more information about our center later, I can send detailed information what our main projects and etc. But unfortunately, today most conflicts in the world are rooted in ethnic or religious factors. The urgency of this topic continues to grow every year. In the geography of Azerbaijan, not all countries respected cultural diversity, the cultural heritage of other people, and on the contrary, have committed acts of vandalism against the great cultural heritage of humanity. It was in fact a violation of the law of war, cultural genocide, terrorism, and war crimes. If you saw the Karabakh on site, you would fully understand that I mean. It is not just a matter of genocide against the people, but also vandalism of a large cultural heritage, historical and cultural monuments, and religious monuments also. You might be aware of the history of the Karabakh conflict. On the eve of the collapse of Soviet Union, 20% of Azerbaijani territory recognized by international law was occupied by Armenian armed forces. Of course, there were forces that helped them during the occupation, but for the last 30 years, Azerbaijan has tried to resolve the conflict peacefully and end the occupation in accordance with the principles of international law. But the opposite side was always inclined and avoid or prolong negotiations. During this time, dozens of innocent people lost their lives. Finally, in September 2020, another provocation by Armenian side made the Second Karabakh War inevitable. In a short period of 44 days, Azerbaijan liberated its land from occupation and ensured justice and the norm and requirements of international law. You already know what happened up to this point. Of course, the most important tragedy is the human tragedy. People lost their lives, were expelled from their homes and lived as refugees. The number of these people is more than 1 million. But after occupation, when we went to these territories, we witnessed another tragedy. Almost all our cities and villages had been completely destroyed. Our historical and cultural monuments, religious places of worship have been burned. Animals have been kept in our places of worship. It is not just about the Muslim monuments. At the same time, the Christian heritage and churches of Azerbaijani people have been destroyed or falsified. This surprised me even more. The followers of Christianity didn't even respect their own religion. In fact, they didn't build anything during this occupation. They only demolished and sold. This in fact shows once again that they have never been able to regard this land as their own. Especially during the war, religious sites were turned into military bases to make Azerbaijani side target these monuments. These are not just world but documented facts, and foreign journalists visiting the region today are horrified by this obvious fact. In fact, Armenians did not hide these facts either. The main reason I draw your attention to this issue that, as you know, both during the war and during the occupation period, such acts of vandalism against the tangible cultural heritage are contrary to Geneva and Hague Convention and are considered war crimes. There are obvious facts. Armenia is a country that has joined this convention. Unfortunately, the international community and the international tribunal still do not react to this issue or do not want to. The conflict zone has long been used as an illegal drug trade. There are facts in this regard. That is not that it is not right to assess the Karabakh conflict only at political level. Azerbaijan has already applied to international court. We hope that at least this time we will receive an objective response. For almost 30 years, 4 UN Security Council resolutions on ending the occupation were not implemented. No one put political pressure on the Armenian side, which further aggravated the situation. We have witnessed another example of double standard as well. As soon as the war ended, some international organization, UNESCO for example, turned to the Azerbaijani government and expressed their intention to send a mission to Karabakh. The cause of the mission was so-called their concern about the condition of Armenian monuments in Karabakh. This surprised us a lot because during the 30 years of occupation, we had repeatedly requested UNESCO to organize such a mission and assess the state of Azerbaijan heritage there. Unfortunately, we couldn't get any response to our request. Today, UNESCO probably wants to shift from being an intergovernmental body to engaging in political activity. But let me tell you that we didn't object to this mission. We are already ready to support the organization of such a mission if it will be fair and all procedure will be followed. Because we even preserved the Armenian heritage in Azerbaijan during the occupation period. If you visit Baku city, you can see that Armenian church in the center of the city is still preserved and repaired by the state. Literature in the Armenian language is also preserved in that church because we have never fought as heritage or cultural. On the contrary, our position is that every nation has a right to preserve its culture and language. However, only uh, one of the 8 mosques in the city of Yerevan, which was once an Azerbaijani city and was handed over to Armenia in 1918 by the parliamentary decision under pressure, has been preserved and is being presented as a Persian mosque. However, the previous picture, the city of Yerevan, clearly showed that it belongs to Islamic culture. The parliamentary decision on the transfer of this city also exists as a document. Hundreds of thousands of Azerbaijani people living in Yerevan were deported in 1948 and 53 and forced to live as refugees. In other words, the Armenians have already established Armenian state on the Azerbaijani land one in history. We would not and didn't allow the creation of second Armenian state in Karabakh. And I also mentioned the word falsification. I would like to explain this to you, what I mean. Christianity has existed in Azerbaijan since the first century. In the pre-Islamic period, the dominant religion was Christianity. Christianity was also the official religion of the ancient Caucasian Albanian state, which existed in this region. The Albanian Church were an independent and maintained their independence until 1736, when, by the order of Russian Tsar Nikolai, the Albanian Church were subordinated to the Armenian Gregorian Church. However, the Udis, an Albanian tribe who inherited Albanian Christianity, never accepted the Gregorian faith. They do not do it either today. The policy of Armenization was pursued by destroying and falsifying the Albanian church in Karabakh from the architectural point of view, because otherwise it will be obvious that Armenians were settled here by the Russians 200 years ago. They wanted to assimilate the Albanian heritage of the Azerbaijan. However, after gaining the independence, Azerbaijan recognized the existence of the Albanian Udi community and handed over this church to the Udis people as an independent church. That is, it returned to the historical owners. These facts, which I told you about, can be confirmed by world-renowned scholars studying Albania. There are documents and archives on each of these historical facts. We are ready to provide all material to researchers who want to conduct research in this area. I would also like to note that during the Soviet era, Azerbaijani scholars were not allowed to conduct the research on the ethnic affiliation of the church in Azerbaijan. Those who tried were persecuted, because this would be a serious blow to Armenian project. In short, during the 30 years of occupation, Azerbaijani Christian history and cultural heritage have been seriously falsified. Many projects related to ancient Caucasian Albania are being implemented by the Baku International Multiculturalism Center together with international researchers. I would like to inform you also about other facts of falsification. Historical toponyms belonging to the Azerbaijani people in the region, that is, place names, have been falsified and attempted to be Armenized, because toponyms actually indicate to whom the area belongs. We have also published a special book in this regard. I will also send you later these informations. More than 1,600 names had been falsified in the region. Now you probably understand why my speech is titled Threats to Azerbaijani Multiculturalism. I want you to know that how a state with a mono-ethnic and mono-confessional structure does not respect the cultural heritage of other nations. So, dear moderator, I hope that this speech was not so boring, and these facts also. My intention is to bring the historical truths to the attention of the world community through our friends like you. And I once again would like to thank you for organizing such kind of live for me. I'm not sure how many people participated, but if there will be any question, with great pleasure, I would like to answer them. But first, I would like to ask you to share the video which I was sent, which will be proved my speech about the situation in the region. And thank you for your attention. So as you saw the situation, that was just a recent situation in Karabakh region. The main big cities was absolutely destroyed, and worship places, the Muslim heritage, Christian heritage, Jewish heritage, the whole region, we need minimum 5 years or rebuild the situation, rebuild their life in Karabakh and bring the cultural there also. But the process is last 1 year. The process is going on. We every week we are arriving to the region. We are witnessing the situation that from the next year, the people, the refugees, will be back to the region, and hope that the life will be start there also. During this period, they didn't even live there. They just destroyed, demolished, sold, and etc. That was the main point of what I would like to inform. If there is any question, I can answer them.
Before we get headed to the questions, I would like to say a few things. First of all, thank you very much for being here. We know how special this week is for Azerbaijani people, so thank you very much for taking some of your time to be here and talk with us a little bit. I've elaborated a few questions myself I'd like to ask, but everyone watching, feel free. You're encouraged also to write down your questions in the comment section, so I will read them out loud and ask for everyone. So first, I'd like to ask about the role that multiculturalism play in Azerbaijani politics.
The role of multiculturalism policy in Azerbaijan, yes, right? It is one of the main side or main part of our state policy. So you can ask me, what do you mean when we talk the Azerbaijani model of multiculturalism? So if you call the cultural diversity as a multicultural policy? I think that no. So mostly in many countries there is a cultural diversity. You can say that, for example, in Germany, the Jewish people, Christian people, or Muslim people living together, and there is no any problem. Yes, and many governments allowed them to be in a society together. But the difference of Azerbaijan and some multiculturalism, the countries where the multiculturalism is a state policy, is that we are not just allowed them to be in our society. We are just supported them. The government interested to keep cultural and ethnic diversity in the country. And this support is not just a moral support, that is a financial support also. So the worship places in Azerbaijan, be it church or be it synagogue or mosques, built it or renovated from the state budget. The government built religious places and opened them and gave them to the people. Here is living more than 30 different ethnic groups in Azerbaijan with different language, with different culture and different beliefs. And all of them, the government invested to keep this diversity. Many countries afraid of diversity because they think that that brings to separatism. But Azerbaijan is not afraid, because we think that the right of keeping their cultural or to promote the cultural is a part of human rights. Every nation, every group, people have a right to keep their language, to keep their cultural, and it is very important. I think that one I read from the book Clash of Civilization, Samuel Huntington. He wrote that you can change the norms, you can change the constitution, but you can't change the culture of one nation. You need 1,000 years for that. So in this logic, I think that it's important that every nation, that is more than 2,000 nations living in the world, but unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, we have 200 independent country. So it means that we have to learn, live together in a peace and coexistence.
I would like to ask as well about the importance of Azerbaijan's multiculturalism in the country's national security. I know that you wrote an article about that, so if
Yeah.
you could tell me really.
So it's not just it's our state policy and a part of our national security, because our region is very complicated region. You have a borders with big countries which were interested in region. We have many different ethnic groups. We have a different beliefs, and there is a powers absolutely. There is a powers would like to use this diversity in a bad side. Multicultural for us is not just a world, or is not just a lifestyle, or not only also a policy, but we have a good legislative base for keeping cultural diversity and multiculturalism in Azerbaijan. And after gaining the independence, national leader Haydar Aliyev make a reforms in our legislative system. Our constitution and other legal acts reflected many norms for protecting the rights of ethnic groups or religious confessions here. That was main part. For example, our center is realized many projects in the world for promoting the multiculturalism, but another side of our job is so-called not we are not showing the people the main thing that we are making analysis of the region. We are making the situation in the world, how the situation is going, how is changing. You know that many countries in Europe they are telling that the multiculturalism is failed in Europe. We are trying to understand what another alternative model they are offering to the world. But unfortunately, till today, we heard just only one world, uh, only one cultural for humanity. But we think that this is a utopia. So it's impossible to create a one cultural for all peoples, and that will not be used. Legislative side of our security, multiculturalism security, it's another topic. It's a big topic that maybe next time I will explain our legislative system, how it works, how we are secure our state security in this direction. Because for this I have to explain the constitution, the legislative norms. But in one word, I would like to answer that every minority, every nation who is living in Azerbaijan with his own language have a right to get an education in his language, to get to publish the books in his own language, to speak in his own language in the society, and all the rights of minorities, keeping their rights in the frame of Constitution of Azerbaijan Republic.
So now I'll be reading the viewers' questions, but before that, don't forget everyone that the appendices is already on the comments. And today we'll be posted the podcast about the war. You can check it on Spotify and also Anchor FM. So Eduardo Santos asks, in your opinion, how can Brazil learn from the example of Azerbaijan and its respect for culture and diversity?
I would like to thank Eduardo Santos for the question. Actually, we are tightly cooperating with Brazil also. I believe that everything has to start from the education system, and every promotion or every good promotion have to be scientific based or have to be academical based also. So one of our main project is in Azerbaijan, in all universities, in all faculties, we are teaching the multiculturalism subject in a bachelor and master level. So it's a main subject in Azerbaijan. We are also teaching this subject in 20 world universities. One of them was Brazilian university. So we have some projects till today. We realized many projects in Brazil also. From the next year, we will start to cooperate 2 more Brazilian university teaching the multiculturalism subject. And when we are starting teaching the multiculturalism subject, it's not just a promotion of Azerbaijan. So we are not a diaspora organization. We are promoting the policy of multiculturalism. And every time when the student is participated in our subject, they can even compare the Azerbaijani model with Brazilian model. And so we are teaching it in comparative way. So that's a good way to learn from each other. Maybe also till today, during 8 years, we learn many things from the different countries also. That's my answer.
So João Pereira asks, thank you very much for your speech. Now I have one question. I'm currently writing an essay on how the diplomatic negotiations can result in a peace treaty between the two parts. So how do you think the respect for the multiculturalism can contribute from this process?
Yeah, we multiculturalism has no alternative, and the alternative of multiculturalism is xenophobia, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, or discrimination. So multiculturalism is a good ideological barrier of religious extremism and discrimination or radicalism and etc. So multiculturalism can be good mechanism of create belief between negotiations during the negotiation process between two sides. So respect other nation, respect other cultural, respect other beliefs. That give more positive sides of each others. Why Karabakh conflict is not solved during this 30 years period? Because other side, the opposite side is we saw that they are not respecting the cultural, they are not respecting the beliefs, they are not respecting the international law. That was a main problem that, and if to be honest, the Karabakh conflict politicized. So that was not a conflict between two nations or between Christian and Muslim community or between Armenian or Azerbaijani nation. That was a project. That was the occupation of the territory. That's why it was very difficult to solve in a peaceful way, and that is why the war started and we liberated the territories. So it's a Karabakh conflict is a good example to the world where in another parts of conflict is frozen. That it is a good example how to solve the frozen conflicts in the world.
Moving to, as you mentioned, Huntington's Clash of Civilizations. How do you see that the South Caucasus is basically where the borders of three different civilizations are, and how do you interpret the multiculturalism policy vis-a-vis the neighboring countries?
One second, I have to read the question. Caucasus is basically where the border is. Yes, the Caucasian region is a complicated region. As here is the difficulty is that the religions in these places played very important role, and as I mentioned, this region, Azerbaijan, has a border with big countries like Russia, like Iran, like Turkey, like in other countries also. All these countries has his own interests or have his own. For example, Iran is a religious country, as you know, and Azerbaijan is a unitary country. So we do not have a state religion. The religious is separated from the government in Azerbaijan. Actually, we are not witnessing this clash of civilization in the region. So politically, the policy here is much more balanced. But in the future, actually, I think that the Caucasian region is the most hot region. Is the most. I think that possible region where the civilization can be clashed, but the main objective thing that Turkey, Azerbaijan here would like and in an interest to stabilize the situation in the region, and we are working hardly on this point. I think so. There is a many points that I can't answer in a live video, but the researchers who would like to make a research in the Caucasian region, we can invite them to Azerbaijan. We can provide many materials so they can witness the situation really here.
I have a few questions left, and I'll ask them if you don't mind. Um, how do you think Azerbaijan as a country can contribute to the global multiculturalism as a one?
Yeah, culturalism for us is not a static policy. The next level have to be intercultural and interreligious dialogue. So, if the multiculturalism give regional it's the security in the country, but intercultural and interreligious dialogue can give the more security to the region or the global peace that can be contribute in global peace. That's why from 2008, by the initiative of the President of Azerbaijan Republic, Ilham Aliyev, started new project which was called Baku Process. And Baku Process is a big platform combined many forums like humanitarian forum, like the Forum of Intercultural Dialogue, the UN Seventh Alliance of Civilization Forum, the World Religious Leaders Forum, and etc. So Baku City is changed as a center of humanitarian discussions. So the main thing to create the platforms where the dialogue can be the important public figures or Nobel Prize winners or the political leaders can be discussed the situation in different places of the world and solve the humanitarian problem. And every year we are organizing the big global platforms. Our center is one of the co-organizers of such kind of platforms, the dialogue platform. Nowadays, more than 10,000 public figures or academicians or political leaders participated in these platforms also.
I believe that's the last question. Does Azerbaijan intend to work with elementary and high school institutions towards a partnership, trading cultural experience? As a school teacher in a bilingual school, we take great interest in that.
For sure, like if there is an interest, with great pleasure, we would like to cooperate also. We need just a platform as a center of multicultural. We need a just platform to promote the multiculturalism policy. So if there is an interest from Brazilian schools or high schools, we can financially we can also support, and academically we can send our teachers or professors. So we can invite the professors or teachers from the Brasilia to Azerbaijan. So we have programs, many programs, research programs, which we are covering the costs during this period. So with great pleasure, we are open for cooperation. You can write us to our website or our Facebook and offer the project interest and all of them. That's very quickly we are answering. We are starting the projects for promoting the multiculturalism. And I'm sure that here we have a special schools also which will be interested to cooperate with elementary or high schools institution in Brazil also.
Um, David asks, "Hey, Mr. Radnov, I have a question. How difficult you think it is to implement an idea of multiculturalism in countries that have a unique and different culture?"
It is to implement an idea of in a country that have a union. That's a main problem in European countries. I lived 4 years in Berlin, in Germany also. I witnessed this situation. I witnessed really serious situation, how the clash of different civilizations. I witnessed that, but I think that that is the multiculturalism policy is something the approach of state to diversity. If the government, if the policy lead the diversity right, very how to say if the government or policy know their red lines of society and lead the situation, this diversity, I think that the multiculturalism policy will be best choice of to live together in the society. When we are saying that we do not see any alternative model of multiculturalism, it's true, because even in Brazil or in other countries, I know that living many different groups with different cultures, different languages, or how it managed. There is a three model actually the history knows: assimilation, isolation, or living together. The first of two is crime, is violation of law, is not allowed it. Uh, we have a third choice, the multiculturalism, so living together, and promote the ideas of living together in a peace. That's my answer of this question.
I believe that was the last one. Before we wrap it up, I'd like to thank you again for being here in such a special week for Azerbaijani people. So thank you very, very much. And that's it.
Thank you very much for life. I would like to wish our Brazilian friend the happy days in their lives, and the Brazil is for us a new country. Yeah, well known as a football country, but I know that there is many things that we have to know from your side also. Uh, Thank you for cooperation, and hope that was an interesting life here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.